On January 11th of 1964, Jack Rochette, 21 years old, had gone out to do some spearfishing. It's a group of spear fishermen, 19 of them, that got onto a 40-foot boat and went out and they dove into the water and went spearfishing. From the reports, it looks like there's tanks, and you're going to see a few different of the news reports that I went through, because this attack had a couple different things that we'll go over when we get further into this. They're out. It's around noon. Jack is in the water. He and a friend, Gary New, they are down about 50 feet. It's 55 feet deep where this attack happened. And it's just before noon. They both shot a fish, it sounds like, just right at the same time. And it sounds like when they got to the surface, they were separated by about a good 30, 50 feet. Because when Jack surfaces, going by his interview back in 1964, he says he looked over and saw Gary, and Gary was looking around really fast. He thought he was looking for him at first, but then he was wondering, why would he be looking around real fast? He's looking for something. So Jack didn't see the shark. Gary obviously did. Gary's got his fish, Jack's got his fish and his spear gun. And Jack is almost to the surface, so he's attacked before he even gets to the surface. The great white clamps his legs in the back, and he says started just thrashing him around. It sounds like he got near the surface now, and the shark is thrashing him side to side. He said it felt like a rag doll, and he said it felt like he got hit by a mountain, and that's the speed of these things when they hit you. So his legs are all thrashed up. Both of his legs are in the shark's mouth. He says he looks down and saw this monster, and he, like I said, he felt like he was just being whipped around like he was nothing. And he's got his spear gun with him. He says he bashed it in the head about 3 times, and finally it released him. So he floats up to the surface. Now he's at the surface, and the shark is kind of circling him, and then it makes another run at him, and he says he takes his spear gun again and hits it at the point onto the nose, and the shark turns away. So Jack is in the water bleeding. It sounds like the shark has left him alone now, and there's a gentleman that just took off all his gear. He didn't even have his swim fins on. Took off his swim fins, took off his tanks, took everything off. He's already on the boat. He sees the attack, and this gentleman jumps into the water. His name is also Jack, and he jumps into the water, and he swims out to Jack Rochette, and he's the one who brings Jack back in. But there's still other spear fishermen in the water now. So Jack gets taken back to the boat, and he's being tended with. But at the time, that great white seemed to have went over to Gary New. Now Gary New was, he said, 30 to 40 feet away from the shark when he finally saw it, and then saw it quickly go over and attack Jack Rochette. He says after it did, it came over to him and it was circling him. He says far away at first, and he says the bubbles of the divers below him might have saved him. Now there's Jim and Bruce, they're brothers, and they dove to the seafloor. They stayed at the seafloor. And they said that shark, Gary New said that shark was staying underneath him about 20 feet and just sitting there. As he's not at the surface, so he's about 20 feet from this shark, as it's just sitting below him, and it's kind of circling, and it's circling tighter and tighter. And then when it gets up to him, he says it's about 3 feet from him when it's circling him, but it hits the bubbles from the divers below him, Jim and Bruce. And that scares the shark away. So the shark goes away. Gary is able to get back to the boat. He said that every time he made a turn and started swimming towards the boat, that's when the shark would come back and get tighter on him. So kind of like with the Heather Boswell attack, if you saw the extended version of that, every time she made a swim towards the boat, that shark would come over and just cut her off. And the one time I went down and grabbed her foot reminded me of an orca attacks that you see over at SeaWorld in some of those videos. So it was just creepy. But it was cutting her off from getting to the boat, and it sounds like that's what it was doing to Gary New. Now after Gary's attacked, the shark went down to the 2 gentlemen on the bottom, the 2 brothers, Jim and Bruce. And the shark starts circling them, and they says it circled so tight on them, they had to have their spear guns facing it to keep it from getting at them. And they said it was really close. And they also said that this shark was so aware of where everybody was that there were 2 other divers that had taken shelter in a cave, and it kind of was swimming by that cave, just checking them out too. So the shark knew all these divers and where they were. It visited most of them. Jack Rochette also said that when he was beaten on the shark, after he was beaten on the shark, that the shark started circling him, and he started circling opposite directions. So the shark is circling Jack after it bit him, and he beat it a few times on the nose and it let go. It's circling him, so he's spinning the other way fast so he can keep an eye on the shark, and that's how he saw it coming for the next time. Well, sure enough, one of the witnesses, the first mate engineer, or the skipper, had seen the shark, and they had said that there was a guy in a pool of bloody water spinning real fast. Well, that must have been what Jack was talking about, where he was spinning the opposite direction of the shark to keep his eyes on it, which is very smart. I mean, ridiculously smart. And to be that aware after you've been attacked, it's just ridiculous. But these guys are used to being in the water, so they can do things I would think is impossible at the time. So he's back on the boat. Gary's back on the boat. Everybody's visited by the shark. The shark circled the others. And the one thing that made Gary New had said in his interview, and I'll put the clip up there, and this is where this discrepancy came from, and I think Gary New was just confused. He says that Jack Rochette handed him his spear gun after he shot the fish to go retrieve the fish. Well, you keep the spear gun because the string is connected to the spear gun, and you kind of bring it back in with that. So I don't know why you would do that. So what I'm thinking is that he just got confused and said he handed him the spear gun, because later on in another clip you will see that Gary New says, yeah, I was sitting there and I stabbed it with my spear gun to keep it from getting me. That's where he hit it in the nose when it was circling him. But he doesn't mention having two spear guns. So I think that was just a mistake, maybe on the writer's part, maybe on Gary New's part, but all of them say this thing was well over 20 feet. Most of them say it was 23 to 25 feet. Some of them said it was 25 feet. There is a 20-foot estimate in there, so some say from 20 to 25 feet, but most said it was 23-foot shark. The tooth they gathered from the shark from his leg. He goes into the hospital and they hand him a tooth that was in his leg, and they said that that was a 23-foot great white shark that tooth came from. They would know because they have a collection of 23-foot great white shark teeth that are about 2,000 years old, I think. So back in the recent past, in the grand scheme of time, the great whites were 23 feet. Probably a lot more regular than they are now. Now, a 23-footer, and that's like a question that somebody had asked me about 20-footers. How many do I think is out there? I think there's quite a few of them out there. I think they don't let us see them. They look at us, but I don't think that we see them. It's kind of like the same thing with the surfers. For every shark that the surfer sees, probably a dozen sharks have seen that surfer. So, you know, the numbers are just outrageously crazy as far as these sharks, especially the great white. It's going to look at you out of the water and in the water with its spy hopping that it does. But again, I was looking for a picture of the actual leg bites. Now they do have that photo, and I'm putting that clip in there too, and they say that that is the attack, and that Jack is laying there in the water. Up in the right corner is the other Jack that's coming in to save him, and I can't imagine that that's a real photo. I just don't buy that, but that's what they kind of claim on that thing. I don't think that they would have been ready to take a photo and even have your head thinking about a photo when something like that's going on around you. I just can't believe that. Now there's another problem with the story is they call them skin divers. It's so funny with the news back in the day because you don't know what they're saying, but they're calling these people skin divers. Yet it's January in California. that is cold. That's freezing. You aren't going to be out there without a suit. So you're not skin diving, you're wetsuit diving. So I don't know how you would, you know, some kind of a warm front in January. It doesn't make sense to me. So there's some problems with the things that they say, and I think it's just the way they say skin diver. You know, they say that they have scuba tanks, so why wouldn't they have scuba gear on? So skin diver must have just been something they said back in the 60s. And this is, by the picture that I saw of the mock-up of the wound, it would be upper thigh, you know, just above mid thigh to almost mid calf on this guy, and it's the widest bite I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of bites from a lot of sharks, and this thing was huge. Yeah, if you're going to see a great white that size, I would think it's going to be at one of those places where they have a lot of pinnipeds, where the shark will probably stop and feed. My thing is I think that when they get 17 foot and larger, they leave all those areas and they go on these wherever they want. And I think these are kind of like the things that end up in the med running into people. They're just monstrous sharks that go and do what they want, and they're hungry. They don't have a steady source of food. You run into them in the Mediterranean and boom, they're going to use you as a food. I think that's my thinking on the extra large great whites. And that's what I think about deep blue. Deep blue's out there somewhere where it usually stays because we haven't seen it for so long. And I just think when they get that old, they know to kind of stay out of sight. Maybe it's a self-preservation thing, but you don't see a lot of reports of 20-foot great whites, and they got to be out there. They've been protected for a good 30 years now. So that gives these sharks that used to get to 17, 18 foot time to get up there. So yeah, that is just one of the crazier attacks with the large shark. A couple of these guys said this shark was, going to try to eat them all. I don't think that it was trying to eat any of them. I put this down as an attack, not an attempt to predate by a 23-foot great white shark. And that's what this seems to be, territorial. It visited just about everybody that was in that area, I think, to try to get them out of the water. I don't think it was worried about it. Now another issue is, you'll see him, if you read these clips, you'll see that he says that the shark was on a full charge, a great white on a full charge, and he was able to fend it off with his spear. No way. That spear is as useless as those shark bands that we talked about in the last episode that didn't end up working, or wouldn't have worked if the guy had it on. Same thing. That thing's charging at that speed, and you got this far, maybe 4 or 5 feet. Some of them are like 7 feet, but still, that's just too short of a distance. That shark is going to get you anyway, whether you're lucky enough to hit it or not, because the mouth is probably going to be open at that point, and that gives you a lot less room to try to hit him. Right now, with his mouth closed, you got all this area, but once that mouth opens up, you got this little area here and a little bit of a chin, we could call it, and that's it when it's coming at you. So it might have seemed like a full charging shark to him, and a shark doing 10 miles an hour would look like a beast coming through the water, but they can do 20, and if a shark like that's doing 20 miles an hour, you are not going to stop it with hitting it in the nose with a spear. So a couple issues with the story, but everything else kind of blends, and all the witnesses seem to agree. Only one kind of mess up with Gary New saying that he was handing the thing. Just one of the crazier attacks. I think it's the largest great white shark attack there ever was, and the episode that I covered it in, I think I named that episode after it, the largest shark attack ever. So that's 23-foot great white shark. Got a hold of Jack Rochette, 21 years old, back in 1964. Okay, now we're going to get into this. Somebody had sent me, I think it was in the comments that I went through the last time I uploaded a video, and somebody had asked about a channel that takes these attacks and takes and does some overlay, some layers it with like effects or whatever, different visual colorings and things that they have that you could layer this thing and look at what's going on. I love the idea of the channel. I think that, first of all, I think that he's on this rigged system that I went onto the FBI to talk about on Tuesday, which they ignored me, hand me a pamphlet that's useless because it's cookie cutter and you can't report some kind of new theft through this shit, and they know it. So they're just playing games. This guy's channel would be awesome. I just wish that he would take from the actual camera. So the actual shot I want to see first of what he's layering. Then I want to see the layers. So you put the next layer in there and then you put them side by side so that you can check and see. Now my problem is I watch everything on my phone, sometimes on my computer, but I never watch TV, a big TV. It's always small screens. And on a phone, he's got so many of them on there, I couldn't tell anything was anything. And some of it he's saying there's multiple people in there being attacked, and I can't see any of it. Maybe I wouldn't be able to if he just did one or the other, but I wish he would take the original and then show the layered and then put them side by side no matter how many he's doing, put them side by side so that you can see what the actual looks like as to that, so you can see if you can see what's in there. But the idea of the channel is brilliant. It's as great as this channel's idea. I mean, I think that's excellent to be able to see if there's more going on than what we can see. And what we can see is very little. I have my fishing glasses out in my car, but you can see down in the water better with a glasses specially made to see into there with the coloration and to do away with the glare of the sun, I think, is how they do it. But you know, it's an amazing thing, and I tried to watch it to see, and somebody, the comment told me to watch a specific one, and I believe it was Nellis, Simon Nellis, that attack. So I did watch that one, and like I said, it was just a bunch of different screens all at the same time of all the different layers, which led me, because of my phone, to be able to see nothing. Even if I was to jump on a TV and to watch it, I would only do so if they would have full screen shots of each one. Like I said, there I can compare this stuff, because looking at the shot and then trying to look back at something, it's not going to be that good. I want to see it side by side and see if what I'm seeing is the same photo in the first place. So it was a little tough for me to even try to get into that, but I think it's a great idea. I think that he just needs to tweak it a little bit. So that's that. Another one, got a comment about the bull sharks in the fresh water, and yeah, that ain't happening. That's never happened, and it never will. If you can't taste water in the water that you are in, you will not run into a shark. They float because of salt. It's not that they need it to survive breathing or anything else. That's what keeps them afloat. So all sharks are the same, to where they need their liver oil, and they need that salt, because the liver oil is lighter than the salt. It allows them to float. And that's how a large shark can get in shallow water, because it releases maximum liver oil, stays as high up in the water as it possibly can, and it can get into water that's half of its thickness deep, because it's staying up on top of the water by releasing that liver oil. I've seen studies, they say what a shark's gonna do in fresh water? Sink. That's what they do, they sink. And if you look into these brackish water sharks, the bull sharks that go in there, they say, first of all, as soon as they get into brackish water, we're not talking near fresh water, we're talking closer to seawater than fresh water, and the sharks get dehydrated. So the bull sharks are getting dehydrated in it, and they're using 50% more energy to stay afloat, because they gotta keep moving and keep that tail moving, because the salt is so little that they're going to start sinking, and there's no way they would be able to be in fresh water. So I did look at the morphology, which is the makeup of the I kept saying the Kuran River, it's the K-Run River, and that's over in Iran where that attack we covered. That thing is near salt water, near sea level water as far as salinity. So it would taste just like the ocean to you. That's how much salt is in there. I knew it was going to be a saltwater river when I saw an attack up there 200 kilometers, 275 kilometers from the ocean. That's not going to happen unless that's salt water, just like I thought. Another thing is people keep bringing up the sharks in the golf course pond, and this one just boggles my mind, because how do you imagine the sharks got into the thing? There's only one way. Bull sharks, any sharks, are going to get into a pond in a golf course, and that is a flood. That is a flood of salt water, pure salt water coming in, and it's not only putting sharks in that pond, it's replacing any fresh water that was there with pure ocean water. So it's not only salty, but it's on a golf course. So they're going to fertilize and use their sprinklers, and that's going to add more salt. So it's just getting more salty. And I would say probably 20 years it would be too salty for those sharks, because you can't. The only way to get something less salty as far as a body of water like that is to add more fresh water. Well, you're not going to get enough rain to get rid of that salt water that's in there, and the salt only gets saltier because things run off. Even in rivers, you have runoff and the banks, they end up collecting the salt, and the waters keep getting saltier and saltier. You need a lot of fresh water dumped in there to replace the salt that's been added, so just about everything's getting a little bit more salty. You know, year by year, and some places are real bad, like the Breed River, where long ago, I guess that thing used to be fresh water, but now the entire lower Breed is pretty much almost sea level water, because it's only 25 miles, and if the currents are running towards it, then the tide goes all the way up 25 miles. If it's not going towards it, the tide goes up 9 miles, and that's twice every day. So pure salt water is going up 9 miles of that river twice every day. Real quick, I wanted to talk real quick about this this rigged system of YouTubes. I want to talk about penguins. Somebody jumped in the comments and said that this penguins guy had a video, and I watched that video. And the thing is how he nailed that date. Now let me tell you, when I first saw that I was being slowed, I showed it in a video to the viewers. They couldn't see it. They couldn't see what I could see. And the more that you're getting sent out, the harder it is for people to be able to see what they're doing. And the more you're being sent out and views you're getting, the harder it is to nail down the date of when they did that. Because the way they design their system, they make changes in speed take 3 or 4 days. And why they did that is because I have dozens of them. If your video is blowing up at the time, which means your reach graph is going up, because of the way that they made it change slowly over the days, it causes an arc and makes it appear like it's normally kicking off. Like when your videos finally reach their CTR average, channel average, and start leveling off, it does that to the video. So unless you look at CTR at the beginning and ending of that curve, you're not going to know that it was them slowing you, their rigged system. And it's every month that they do this to you, and penguins shocked me. He said the 10th. So I pulled up my video 3 videos ago, the swimming with the sharks turns into a feeding frenzy, I think it was. And I looked at, so I pulled up that video and I looked at my send out. And I wanted to see the drop, and it had the drop, and on the 10th of August, like he was saying, I was getting 215 sent out, brand new video, only out a month, and they're only sending out to 200 people a day. On the 11th, it went out to 115, so it cut in half from the 10th to the 11th. He nailed the day on the day that it dropped, because I'm running so slow that I don't get the arcs anymore. I just see a drop. So I can tell you what they had dropped, because mine is just going to be a straight line from the one to the other, and that's exactly what it did. So like I said, I went to here's the pamphlet that the FBI gave me. Go to the FBI, nobody in there. They have a big freaking bulletproof glass room off to the right when you walk into the federal building, and I try to go into the door, they don't let you in the door. He points me around to the place where you can talk. I tell him that, how do I deal with, I want to report theft. Well, what kind of theft? I says, YouTube, stealing my money and everybody else's. I didn't tell them it's millions, but that's what they've stolen from me so far, because this month I'm making $1,800. I made $2,300 my first 18-day check. Now I make less than a full month with 200 more videos than I had then. So that's what they did. The people that go after parent-teacher conferences ignored me and handed me this. And in here, I went in here to go ahead, and of course, when I filed my FTC complaint against X and YouTube, they have no options. You have to pick an option that doesn't fit what you're doing and report it that way, and there's no way that they're going to go through it, and it's theft. It's not them just taking your money out of your bank, because that's what it wanted me to do. This IC3 thing wanted me to link my bank account or give them my bank account information. I'm like, that's not pertinent to the shit. And it's complicated. It took a long time to get to where I can tell exactly what they're doing, exactly how the right algorithm works, and exactly how the system of programs works, and the other system of rigged programs works, and what they changed. And they only changed one, in the suggested they changed one thing: send out from the highest CTRs to send out from the lowest, and that's what they do. So everybody that's on this rigged system, they just have to go into, pull up your long form video, hit analytics, hit reach, scroll down to where it says content suggested in this video, click see more. If your lower CTRs are getting more send out than the highest CTRs, they're stealing your money. You're on the rig system. I need to get a bunch of these people together. You know, what I really need is just to get one kind of person with an audience to talk about this. I don't have a big enough audience to even let other creators know. And what's worse is I have 600,000 lifetime impressions, 700,000 lifetime impressions on X over a year for 20,000 tweets, because they got me shut down even more than YouTube does, because nobody wants me to get what I know out. So now I got to figure out how I'm going to get this information out, because FBI is useless, Troy police laugh. Now I'm going to go back to the state police, the Michigan State Police, because when the feds went ahead and hid the shit that happened in Anne Arundel County here in 2020's election, where they ended up with the skewed number of votes for Biden as opposed to Trump. The FBI hid the shit, and it was the state police that went ahead and did something about it. So I'm going to visit them again, but I'm going to try to visit the Treasury, the Michigan Treasury, show them how a California business has programmed to take money out of their coffers, because the money they're stealing from me, they're stealing from Michigan's taxes too. Michigan's supposed to make tax money off of me, off of what I'm supposed to make from there, but now Mr. Beast and other Californians are getting that money. They're lefties. So yeah, it's rigged. I have videos on how it's rigged. They're over on the Algorithm Expert on Rumble, but you know, if you just look at your my searches, all, you know, I get more views from the search term Malibu artist than anything having to do with sharks. Shark attacks and everything else, I get more views from his channel's name than I do from anything to do with sharks, other than Shark Happens. Sharks Happen, Shark Happens, and Sharks Happen with a year with it, 2025. Those three are my top three. And then Malibu Artist is in there, and you go down and I get hundreds from my channel name, and then, you know, 5 or 6 from Malibu Artist, and I get 4 from Shark Attacks. Those are views they're allowing me to have. So if your channel name is leading your search, you're on this system, you're rigged too. Now it's time to figure out what to do about it and how we're going to get this thing done. I just want the system ended, and all we need is for creators to know what is going on, how to find it. Once enough of them find it, then the lefties are in trouble. Until then, right now, like I said, I went to Troy Police, they laughed. I went to the FBI, they sent me on the same runaround, and I believe that I believe YouTube got rid of their support, just like X did months ago, because I tried to get on support to bitch at them a little bit more, and I can't get on there anymore. So yeah, they're doing nothing but covering up for what they know is rigged, because they know that it was to steal elections to start out. And now they got a Shark Attack channel on it. So I want somebody to explain to me why the hell a Shark Attack channel is being snuffed out, like a political channel. So that's the show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I am going to Georgia. I'm leaving right now. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning on Thursday night, so Friday morning. But I'm leaving Friday at about, I don't know, 10 in the morning, 11 in the morning. So I got to get this thing edited, get it out to you guys. And when you see it, because I'm going to put it out Friday morning, you'll see it. I'll be on my way down to, that's the last thing I'm doing before I head out the door, is uploading the video tomorrow. So Friday morning, probably around 10 or 11, you'll see this video pop up. I don't think many of you will see it, because of course I'm talking about how YouTube rigged their system and how everybody can find it, and they don't want that out, so they'll snuff the hell out of it. But hey, what the hell, I gave it a shot. So I hope you enjoyed the show. I'll be back with a normal long form show in about a week, when I get back from my hunting and my golfing and fishing. Hopefully I'll have good stories of success instead of these crazy stories. But again, I want you to remember, if you go into that water, you are much more afraid of these sharks than they are of you.